Welcome to Tsaritsyn. This is the fourth map revealed now for the In the Name of the Tsar DLC, and it's the first one that we've seen set during the Russian Revolution. That's right, this is a Russian Civil War map. Now this is the map that was showcased on the live stream at Gamescom a few days ago, and it includes the White Guard, which is the renamed Russian army after World War I. They favour the Tsar, and we now have the Russian Red Army. And these are rebellious Bolsheviks who are trying to bring change to Russia. The map is set in 1919, after the Russian withdrawal from World War I, after the end of World War I, and the two sides are fighting over control of a dockyard location along the Vodka River. This dockyard is important because it can be used to transport supplies for each of the armies should they hold on to it. Now let's start by looking at an overview of the map. You can see here from the spawn screen in Conquest, it's set up with 3 flags. 2 of the flags are what I call HQ flags. They sit closer to the spawns of each army, and then the central flag is located inside the cathedral that you can see in the middle of the picture there. That thing is a massive building. Now the A capture point is probably one of the most congested, I think, currently in Battlefield 1, and it sits just in front of the Red Army spawn. We've got lots of destroyed buildings here, all very close together with doorways and windows connecting everything together. It's almost a maze of tight corridors encircled by this larger road, which can be used by tanks to disrupt some of that infantry action. This flag is perfect for players using shotguns or SMGs from the Assault class, or maybe even the new Fedorov Avtomat rifle in the Medic class. Use that thing in the trench variant, and you're going to be killing a lot of people on this map. You do need to keep your wits about you around the A flag though, keep yourself on your toes. Lots of infantry can be hiding just anywhere here. There are so many nooks and crannies, it's unbelievable. The A flag is one of 2 of the flags on this map where I'd say the action really hots up. The other one is of course the cathedral because you're inside the massive building, but first of all I want to show you the C flag. This is called Wrecked Merchants. It sits just outside the White Guard spawn and it takes on the form of a shipping yard. And again you're looking at lots of destroyed buildings here, but the location is more open. It's less claustrophobic on a ground level. There's a trench line that runs through the center of the capture point, but again there's more than enough space here to get a tank around the buildings. And we'll talk about tanks later on in the video. There's a line of sight into the center of the map, and the cathedral, again, it's much more open, that line of sight, than what the Red Army have got across the other side of the map. They've got this sort of indestructible wall of buildings in front of their home flag, and I think that makes the map slightly asymmetrically balanced. The state that the map's in right now, which is pretty much shipping state because I don't believe there's going to be any changes, the DLC launch is just around the corner, I think it slightly favours the White Guard. They can force the Red Army back behind that solid cover of buildings and keep them locked up there for large parts of the round. Now in the games that I've played, I've not really seen the Red Army force the Whites all the way back to their home capture point anywhere near as often, which could simply be one team having stronger players, or it could be a sign that DICE has created a little bit of imbalance here. Either way, I think it's a bit too early to tell if this map is at fault, or if it's the players on the CTE being a little bit stacked on one team or the other. There is a definite difference between those 2 flags, and it creates sort of like a bottleneck point around the Red Army flag over there. Where I think all the magic happens though is at the B flag. This is called the Cathedral of Light. Now it's a huge building and it stands on its own in the middle of the map, surrounded by low-level cover and basically open space. It's littered with destroyed tanks, you've got broken barbed wire there, and there's a light network of trenches that goes all the way around the cathedral. Now this outside area, it plays host to a lot of the battles that happen on Tsaritsyn because the teams that hold the cathedral tend to push outside the moment they've got control of it. The building doesn't really offer many opportunities to shoot from the inside out to the players who are running around in the trench lines trying to push up to the cathedral. And knowing this, DICE has added all of that cover outside and all of that pathing in the form of trenches to the flat land in order to keep that infantry battle going on over and over. Now, inside the cathedral, well, apart from it being one of the nicest looking buildings in Battlefield 1, it's an infantry-only area, unless you manage to get one of the horses in there. Only the central oval on the ground floor is used as a capture zone for the B flag. That means no camping along the outer walls or up on the first floor. If you want to take this flag, you've got to stand in the middle of the cathedral, and because it's so open, you're going to be moving around all the time. Enemy players will stick close to those walls, however, because it's fairly dark inside the cathedral, and they do provide a certain amount of security until you're spotted, and then you're lit up like a Christmas tree on the minimap, and you're going to die very, very quickly. Now, the upper level I mentioned is more of a balcony that circles around the outside, and it features some small destructible walls and some static pillars as cover. Now, as I mentioned, you can't actually cap the flag from up there, so any enemies who might be up there are likely using it as a safe haven, a location for them to wait until you move off, and then they're going to drop down and try and take that flag back again. Some well-placed grenades will flush them out, and breaking down those small walls will reduce their cover, and it will force them to move about a bit, and likely you can get a few hits on them with your primary weapon. There are 4 entries to the cathedral, and trying to cover them all at once is a bit of a nightmare, but I think DICE has done this to limit the issues that we see on other maps with these enclosed spaces, like on Mont Grappa. The bunkers on that map only having 2 entrances means a team can sort of barricade themselves in very easily and then defend the capture point for the entire game if they want to. Here on Tsaritsyn, because of the 4 entrances, one of them being a massive hole in the outer wall, and at the other end, the entrance is actually split into 3 different doorways, you don't have that issue whatsoever. Gameplay is always moving, and whilst one team can defend the building for a while, at some point, the enemy will build up enough players outside, force their way in, and start taking that flag for themselves. I like that DICE have actually taken this approach with the Cathedral on Tsaritsyn because it is the focal point of the map, and it would be a little bit boring if one team just held it from the first 50 tickets all the way up to 1,000. You've got to think if one team has got hold of 2 flags, they're bleeding your tickets quicker than you're gaining points, and that means they're going to win. Because there are 4 entrances, there's no guarantee that one team will always be able to hold on to the flag. You're going to be able to flush those people out, the flag will change hands, and the score will be fairly even. That's not to say that it's not possible to get a triple cap on this map, because if you do, it's very easy to stop the enemy team getting back from their HQ, and well, the round's pretty much over. Now, I mentioned tanks a couple of times. Tsaritsyn does support them. 2 tanks, 1 per team, and they spawn from the deployment of each of the armies, very similar to how Nivelle Knights works. You're only able to select, however, the Mark V British tank. Now, the reason for this is that the Russians during World War I, they didn't field any tanks, they used the Putilov-Garford armoured car, and when the Civil War started, supplies were obviously split. Now, the British, they were supporting the White Guard, or the White Army, who favoured the Tsar, and they supplied them with armour and weapons for their fight. Along with that came the Mark V tank, and of course throughout the war, the Red Army captured several of them, and then used them against the White Guard. In Battlefield 1, this means the tanks become one of those breakup tools. The Mark V tank can have up to 5 seats in it, so you get plenty of people on the machine guns and the cannons on the side. That's plenty of firepower to roll into an area and shake things up. But it can be the end of a vehicle if you go into an area with too much infantry. Plenty of explosives are going to be coming at you very, very quickly. If you want to know where this map sits in with all the other maps in the DLC, then I'd say it sits closer to Brusilov Keep, being more infantry focused, but it's even more favourable to the infantry. The dynamic between the 2 maps, however, is that Tsaritsyn allows use of a proper tank, whereas Brusilov Keep sticks with the Putilov armoured truck and the standard armoured truck from the base game. It's not an all-out battlefield map, it's very much an infantry-focused map, so if you like vehicle combat, then this is probably not going to be a map for you. You should go for something like Albion, and if you love infantry play, well, then you're going to love Tsaritsyn. I think it's really, really good. I love the cathedral in the middle, and I like the way that it's been balanced so that gameplay keeps moving. So there you go. That's your first look at the 4th new map that's now landed onto the CTE. Let me know if this is one that you're looking forward to. I really am looking forward to it, and I'm really happy that I can play it on the CTE right now, not only because I think it's a great infantry map, but you get to play as the Red Army as well, which is totally unexpected. I don't really think anyone expected that announcement at Gamescom. Drop me a comment down below and let me know which of the maps so far you're most looking forward to, and I'll be down there reading just as many as I can. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.